Guys, I'm back with another funny story. No, it's not a shit story, unfortunately. But it is a funny one all the same. Bit embarrassing, but hopefully you guys will like it. This is about the time I went to a rub and tug in Toronto. I don't know, like 20 years ago or something, I was in Toronto, hanging out with a friend who will remain nameless. I want to protect the innocent here. And he said, Jay, I want to take you to this Jack Shack in town. And I'm like, okay. And apparently they do things different in Canada than they didn't do in California when I was living on my sailboat and everything at the time. So he pulls out his computer and he pulls up this website to this massage place. And it was, how it was structured was like, it kind of gave like a description of the place, what they do. But they don't mention yanking it or nothing. And you could book an appointment with different massage therapists. You know, like Kimberly's free from 1 to 2 or 3 to 4 or whatever. And he thought that was like the funniest thing. He's like, oh yeah, pick one. So we're going through the massage therapist and stuff, and I'm like, that one. So I booked an appointment with her. He takes me down there, and we get into the it's in a nice area, and open up the door. This place looked like a spa, like a fancy establishment. You wouldn't think for a second you'd be getting yanked in there. And so we're just in the lobby, sitting on the couch, hanging out, and then what's her name? Terrible with names. That's so long ago. Anyway, she came out and she said, "Are you Jay?" I said, "Yeah." She said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so." Shook my hand, said, "Nice to meet you." And she's very bubbly and friendly and stuff, and great personality. And she led me down the hall. I heard my buddy go, he's like, "Have fun." Waved at me. I'm like, okay. So she took me into this massage room and had the table and what you'd expect. And she said, go ahead and get undressed and get on the table, and I'll be back in a couple minutes. I said, okay. So at this point, I don't think I'm getting yanked. I think this is just a regular massage place. And maybe my friend's like fucking with me. And I'm thinking, I'm kind of getting hoodwinked here. He's ribbing me. Cost me $100. So anyway, I'm just laying down there thinking that I'm probably getting pranked. And then she comes in and she asked if I was comfortable. I'm like, yeah. And she took her clothes off. And then I was like, oh, why? All right. So I'm not getting pranked. This is going to be hilarious. I just knew that it'd just be a funny story. Because I've never been to one of these before. And if anything, I just wanted to... I mean, I was really single for a long time back then. And so this was kind of fun to try out, you know. And so she's getting the massage oil, working on my back, my feet, and everything. And we're just chit-chatting, shooting the breeze, and we really hit it off, like in a friendly way, just talking about all kinds of stuff. She's asking me where I'm from, and so I'm from the LA area. I live on a sailboat, and I do stunt work and jousting and blah, blah, blah. She's like, oh, wow, that sounds so fascinating and stuff. And then I was very curious on how she got into this line of work. So I brought that up. I was like, so what brought you here? And she said that she's going through school and stuff, and that the money was really good. And she didn't have to work as much because the money was good, and she could focus on her schoolwork and stuff. And that made sense to me. But I think every stripper like says, oh, I'm just doing this because I'm trying to pay my way through college. You know, that kind of thing. She's probably full of shit, but whatever. I mean, we were fucking having a great time just shooting the shit. And then this is where things get weird. She grabs the chair that's next to the massage table. And she props her leg up on it. And she says, can I ask you a question? And I'm like, sure. and she points to her puss, and she says, she asks me, she says, "Does my pussy look funny to you?" And I was like, "Huh?" And I went, "No. No. Why?" And she's all, "Well, the other girls make fun of me because, well, I got big pussy lips." And I'm trying so hard not to fucking laugh. And I said, "Oh, well, that's because you got an Audi. And they probably have innies." And she's like, "Huh?" I'm like, "Pussies are like belly buttons. They're either in or they're out. And yours is just out." And her eyes got big. She's like, "I never thought of it that way." And she got really excited and like I just made her day. And I'm still trying hard not to laugh. My eyes are watering because I'm holding it in. And she's all, "Why don't you flip on over?" I'm like, "Okay." And then she tossed a towel and she used a chair and hopped up on top of the massage table. And she parked her roast beef sandwich right on the bridge of my nose. And, yeah. Yeah. Fun times. So, yeah, that's my first and only time going to a Jack Shack, a rub and tug. But, yeah, fucking A. I'll tell you what, people. If you ever go to Toronto, to T-Town, look up these rub and tugs. You know what? I also there's a funny story. Pat went to this place a couple years before me. And, okay, so here's the disclaimer. I don't know if any of this is true. It could all be bullshit. It could all be just made up. But if you know Pat, it's very believable. So this is a very funny story about Pat at the Jack Shack in Toronto. Little follow-up bonus story here. So our mutual friend took Pat to this place. And they get there. They're in the lounge area there. And there's a commotion going on, a ruckus. There's a guy yelling at one of the girls and stuff, and she come running down the hall into the receptionist area, and she's like, "He doesn't want to pay," you know, and upset and stuff, and they didn't have like a bouncer or anything there, and Pat told my buddy, "So I'm gonna go check this out." So Pat stormed off down the hall. And this guy was really just berating this woman. So, "I'm not paying you," blah, blah, blah. And like just being a real dick to her. And she was really distraught and upset. Well, Pat, allegedly, I don't know if this is true. Pat grabs the fucking guy and slams him up against the wall. He's like, "You're going to fucking pay her right now," blah, blah, blah. You know, and giving him the boss hogging him around. And this guy's like, holy shit, you know, and he's like, "I don't have any money. I don't have any money." So Pat fucking grabs the guy, puts him in like a headlock or something, tells our mutual friend, "Come on, let's go." And fuck, they just Kool-Aid out the front door. And Pat jumps in the car, and that guy's car, and like it had a knife on his neck. And our mutual friend, like he hopped in his car, he's like, "What the fuck?" And so it just starts following him. And they go down the road and stuff, and they pull into a bank. And my friend told me, he said, "I saw Pat drag this guy out of the car, and they went right to the ATM. And with the knife up on his neck. And the guy was like trembling and shit. And the guy gave Pat some money. Like, I think it's $400. But again, I don't know if any of this is true. And then like Pat just pushes the guy, and the guy gets in his car and just fucking hauls ass out of there. And then Pat gets into my buddy's car. He's like, "All right, let's go back. I got $400. So now, like, this is the point where you're thinking, because Pat's a knight, you know, he's a jouster, and you're thinking this is like the most chivalrous thing he's ever done, ever in his life. This is the moment where he does good to a maiden that needs help and stuff, you know, like a damsel in distress or whatever. Like, this is Pat, like, actually being the good knight and stuff like that. So, I mean, listen, Pat's a good guy. Don't get me wrong. But Pat's done some shady shit. He's a good dude. I love him. Anyway, back to the story. So they go back to the rub and tug, and they walk in there, and the girls are there and stuff, and they're like, "What happened?" Pat's like, "Well, unfortunately, all he had was $100," and he handed it to the girl that the guy was yelling at, and she took the $100 and she was like, "Oh my God, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you." And Pat looked at my friend and gave him a wink. And at this point, fucking the girls, 2 of them, took him off into one of the rooms and gave him one on the house. So not only did Pat not pay for a rub and tug, but he fucking profited $300 out of the thing. Because some fucking asshole didn't want to pay. So, anyway, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, I don't know if it's true, but I believe it because I could totally see that happening. Guys, I hope you like this story. Thank you so much for everything. Click like, click subscribe. Doesn't cost you shit, and you'll be notified whenever I put up a new video, and more are coming, believe me. Come hang out with me on Twitch. Everything's down below. I got a Patreon account, and I wrote a short story during COVID called How to Talk to Your Cat About the Coronavirus. A little funny haha. And it's everything's down below. Guys, I hope you like this story. And believe me, I got more coming. So, I'm trying to think of what else. Have a good weekend. Be safe. Love you guys. High fives and boners. And I'll see you next time.